My wife didn't just want a divorce. She wanted my entire life burned to the ground. Literally. 1 second, I'm sitting on the couch. The next, my house is in flames, and she's standing there with a grin, holding the match. But trust me, the fire was just the beginning. You won't believe what came next. Yo, what's up? Name's Mike, 35, and if you told me a year ago that I'd be watching my own damn house go up in flames, I would have laughed in your face. Yeah, like, sure, bro. But here I am, standing in my driveway, with my home turning into a barbecue, wondering what the hell happened to my life. Oh, and to make things juicier, it's all thanks to Susan. Yep, my lovely wife, 32 years old, who apparently just unlocked her villain arc with her new favorite hobby, hardcore manipulation. So, let me set the scene for you. I'm chilling on the couch, having one of those lazy evenings, you know? Just scrolling through dumb memes, trying to forget about the fact that my marriage is about as stable as a Jenga tower during an earthquake. I'm about halfway through this video of a cat knocking over a glass when, beep beep, the smoke alarm goes off. At first, I'm like, here we go again. Susan's probably burned the toast again. I mean, this woman couldn't boil water without starting some small kitchen disaster. But nah, this time it's not just a burnt dinner. Oh no, it's the entire damn house. Flames everywhere, like full-on apocalypse mode. I barely have time to grab my phone and car keys before I'm sprinting outside like some action hero escaping an explosion, except that there's no cool music, just me screaming in my head. And who do I see standing on the lawn, arms crossed like she's judging me on House Hunters? You guessed it, Susan. She's standing there, cool as a cucumber, like the house burning behind her isn't ours, like it's not her problem at all. Dead serious, she locks eyes with me and goes, Mike, you're signing those divorce papers, or this fire's going to spread to more than just your precious house. Now, imagine this. Your home's burning to a crisp, you're sweating bullets, and your wife's just casually threatening you with more fire? You see? I mean, come on, who does that? For a second, I honestly thought she was joking. Like, maybe this was some weird prank, right? But nope, not even a hint of humor in her face. She's lost it. Like, really lost it. And I'm standing there like, are you out of your damn mind? But yeah, the fire was real, and so was the heat. No, not just from the flames, but from her ultimatum. You think dealing with a fire is stressful? Try having your psycho soon-to-be ex-wife give you an option between signing divorce papers or watching your entire life burn. And I mean literally burn. I glance back at the house, smoke billowing out of the windows like some twisted signal flare for your life is falling apart. And in that moment, I couldn't tell if I was more shocked by the fire or the fact that Susan, the woman I once thought I'd spend the rest of my life with, had turned into this cold, calculating fire starter. I mean, really, who in their right mind burns down a house just to win a divorce? Like, couldn't we have just gone to therapy or something? But there she stood, arms crossed, tapping her foot like she was waiting for an Uber. I swear, if she'd had popcorn, she probably would have been munching on it, enjoying the show. And me? I was stuck between wanting to save the last pieces of my house and wondering how the hell my life got so damn messed up. One thing was clear, though. I wasn't just fighting the fire anymore. I was fighting Susan. So I'm standing there, trying to wrap my brain around the fact that my entire house is becoming a barbecue. And Susan? Oh, she's cool as ice. While I'm about 2 seconds away from having a full-blown meltdown, she just strolls over to her car like she's leaving for a casual weekend getaway. But here's the kicker. Her car is packed. And I don't mean she's just going out for a day trip. No, this psycho has her bags packed like she's moving out for good. She flicks her hair back, not even looking at the house that's literally on fire, and says, I'm leaving, Mike, and I'm taking everything with me. I blink. What the hell does she mean, everything? I was about to ask, but she wasn't done with her Oscar-winning performance. She dangles a matchstick between her fingers, lights it, and for dramatic effect, flicks it to the ground like she's in some movie scene. I swear, if she had a soundtrack playing behind her, it would have been something intense, because this was pure crazy. Sign the papers or you'll have nothing left, she added, the smuggest grin plastered on her face. I'm standing there like, is this really happening? I mean, yeah, she's been nagging me to sign those divorce papers for weeks, but burning the house down? That's some next level insanity. Like, girl, ever heard of lawyers? This isn't an episode of Divorce Court. This is arson. I fumbled for my phone, dialing 911, while the flames started creeping up the side of the house like it was some horror movie, and the house was the poor victim. The operator's voice was calm, too calm, considering my entire life was literally on fire. I explained the situation as best as I could, though it's hard to sound calm when your house is crackling like a bonfire. Meanwhile, Susan is still there, watching. And I swear, she's enjoying it. Like, the flames? They're her new favorite reality show. She's not even panicking. Nope. She's got this gleam in her eye like she's thinking, finally some entertainment. And then it gets worse, because Susan, in her infinite wisdom, decides it's time to make the whole thing even more of a spectacle. She pulls out her phone. Of course she does, right? For a second, I'm thinking, oh great, she's going to call the fire department or something. But nah. This isn't that kind of party. She starts recording. Now, at first, I thought she was going to live stream it, because let's be real, that's exactly the kind of thing she'd do, broadcast our life falling apart to the world. But no, she takes it one step further, as I'm literally yelling at the fire department, trying to make sure they know the whole damn house is on fire. She's all, smile, Mike, this is going viral. I almost dropped the phone. Viral? I'm standing here in the middle of a crisis, and she's worried about views. I thought I'd seen everything with her. But this was a new low. Mike, I'll post this everywhere, she said, waving her phone like it was the golden ticket to my social destruction. You'll be known as the guy who couldn't even handle his own wife. Can't even keep your house from burning down? Pathetic. She hit me where it hurt, too. Like, dude, it wasn't bad enough that my house was on fire. Now she's threatening to drag my name through the mud? What's next? A TikTok trend called Mike's Misery? I wouldn't put it past her. But I wasn't about to let her win. Not like this. I'm trying to keep it together, screaming at the fire department while Susan's basically turning my life into a reality TV show. And at that moment, all I could think was, how the hell did I get here? The flames were real. The smoke, even more real. And Susan's cold, calculating gaze, too real. But the worst part? She was loving every second of it. So, by the time the fire trucks finally pulled up, half of my house was already roasted, like full-on crispy. I stood there looking like a rejected chimney sweep, covered in ash, smoke, and a solid dose of disbelief. And where was Susan? Oh, you know, just chilling next to her car, like she's at some Sunday picnic, probably imagining herself in one of those 1950s commercials where the wife smiles sweetly after destroying your life. The firemen jumped out of their trucks, looking all heroic and ready to tackle the flames, and there's Susan, giving them a little wave like, oh hey guys, just another day. She didn't even flinch as they rushed past her to, save what was left of my house. She turned to me with that infuriatingly calm look and asked, you're really going to let this happen? Over a piece of paper? I swear, if I hadn't been completely shell-shocked by the whole my life's on fire thing, I would have laughed. A piece of paper. Really, Susan? You just burned down half our house, and you're acting like it's no biggie because it's just a divorce. At this point, even the firemen were glancing at us like we were the craziest pair they'd seen all week. And let's be honest, maybe we were. Because while they were dealing with the literal fire, the real inferno, that was all Susan. She wasn't just desperate. She was hell-bent. See, I knew that signing those divorce papers wasn't just about splitting ways. It was about me handing over half of everything I'd worked for. She wasn't after a fair deal. She was out for blood. And my bank account. And sure, my house might have been burning down, but I wasn't about to watch her torch my savings, too. While the firemen did their thing, battling the flames, and probably wondering what kind of drama they'd just walked into, Susan decided it was time for her grand finale. She strolled over, as casual as you like, holding out a pen. Yes, a pen. This is your last chance, Mike. Her voice was all sweet and sugar-coated, but I wasn't buying it. The house was still burning behind us, flames licking what was left of my living room. But the real fire? The one that sent chills down my spine? That was in Susan's eyes. I looked at her, and for a second, just a second, I could see it. Pure, unfiltered rage, and behind it a sick kind of satisfaction. She was loving this, not the house fire, necessarily, though who knows with her, but the control. She had me cornered, or at least she thought she did. I knew what signing those papers meant. It wasn't just about losing the house or the money. It was about giving in, letting her win. And I'll be damned if I was about to hand her that victory while my house was still literally in flames. I stared at the pen in her hand, smoke swirling around us, firemen shouting in the background, and for a moment it felt like time froze. I could see it so clearly, Susan walking away with everything, while I stood there, watching my life burn down in more ways than one. But I wasn't done fighting. Not yet. So there I was, standing in front of what used to be my house, now a half-charred disaster that looked like something out of a post-apocalyptic movie. The fire was mostly out, but the damage? Oh, that was permanent. And right next to me, like some twisted statue of satisfaction, was Susan. Arms crossed, that smug grin plastered across her face, like she'd just won the lottery. She always looked like that after she got her way, like she was the queen of chaos, and I was just a pawn in her sick game. She thought she had me. She thought burning down my house and pulling out those damn divorce papers meant I'd just roll over and play dead. But nah, if Susan thought I was going to crumble after this, she was seriously mistaken. "Susan," I started, my voice dripping with enough sarcasm to drown a small village. "If you wanted a bonfire, babe, you could have just invited me. I would have even brought the marshmallows. But this?" I gestured to the smoking remains of my house. "A little much, don't you think?" You'd think that would get a reaction out of her. Maybe a flinch, a blink, something. But no. She just stood there, stone cold, staring me down like a predator. "Mike," she said, her voice as sharp as a knife, "you really think this is about the fire? This is about what's fair. You owe me half of everything, and I'm not leaving until I get what's mine. Fair, right." If I had $1 for every time Susan said the word fair, I'd probably have enough to rebuild my house. I couldn't help it. I started laughing. Not a little chuckle, but full-on belly laughter. The kind of laugh that comes from a man who's officially lost every ounce of patience he had left. "Half?" I wheezed, barely able to catch my breath from the absurdity of it all. "Susan, babe, you've already taken half my sanity, half my patience, and now half my damn house." She didn't even blink. Classic Susan. Never showed any emotion unless it involved getting something out of it. I could see that gleam in her eye, though, that little flicker that said, "This isn't over." Oh no, not by a long shot. Because Susan? She wasn't the type to just stop at half. She wanted more. She didn't just want the house, or the money, or even the satisfaction of seeing me suffer. No, she wanted to burn it all down. Every piece of my life. She wanted me with nothing. Zero. Zilch. And for a second, just a second, I almost thought about signing those papers. Just to be rid of her. Just to end the madness. But then I looked at her, standing there like she owned the world. And something inside me snapped. I wasn't about to let her win. Not like this. She wanted a war? Well, she just started one. So I straightened up, brushed off the ash that had settled on my shirt, and gave her my best "you were not scaring me" smile. "Susan, you can take half. Hell, take the whole house for all I care. But if you think I'm going to sign those papers while you stand here, acting like some reality show villain, you've got another thing coming." Her eyes narrowed, but she didn't say anything. She didn't need to. We both knew this was far from over. So, after the fire department packed up and left, I thought maybe, just maybe, Susan was done with her whole burn your life to the ground routine. Like, surely she'd had enough fun for one night, right? I mean, it's not every day you watch your husband's house turn into a smoldering pile of regret. But oh no, Susan wasn't done. Not even close. That fire? Yeah, that was just the warm-up. Turns out my lovely soon-to-be ex had an entire script, and I was the poor fool playing the lead role in her little revenge movie. The fire was out, but my living room? Toasted. Charred remains of what used to be my couch, coffee table, and probably a couple of good memories. But hey, who's counting? So there I am, picking through the rubble like some kind of scavenger, hoping to find something, anything, that wasn't completely destroyed. Meanwhile, Susan? She's lounging in her car, scrolling through her phone like this is just another Wednesday night. Not a care in the world. Probably checking her emails or browsing Instagram for her next victim. As I'm shifting through the ashes, I notice something. A small, barely burnt envelope tucked behind what used to be our couch. Weird, right? Most of the place looked like it had been roasted in a microwave. But this envelope? Almost untouched, like it was just waiting for me. I open it up, and guess what's inside? Divorce papers. But these weren't just any divorce papers. No. These were signed by me. Or at least they looked like they were signed by me. The signature? It was too perfect. Too precise. Like someone had gone to great lengths to make it look like I'd signed off on the biggest scam of my life. I could almost hear Susan's voice in my head, laughing. "Surprise, Mike!" I stormed over to her car, waving the papers like they were evidence in a crime scene, because honestly, they kinda were. "What the hell is this, Susan? You forged my signature?" She didn't even glance up from her phone. "Mike, don't be so dramatic. I'm just saving you the trouble. The papers are signed. It's done. You can thank me later." Oh, that was rich. Saving me the trouble? Like I'm supposed to be grateful she forged my name on legal documents after setting my house on fire? Sure, Susan. I'll send you a thank you card right after I send you to court. But in that moment, I realized this wasn't just about the fire or the divorce. Susan had been planning this. Every detail, the fire, the papers, even my reaction. She'd mapped it all out like a twisted mastermind, and I was the pawn. She wasn't just trying to end our marriage, she was trying to wipe me out completely. I looked at her, still scrolling through her phone like she hadn't just committed several felonies, and for the first time, I saw it clearly. The fire was just the start. The real damage? That was still coming. I stood there, frozen like an idiot. My name, my signature, stared back at me from those papers, clear as day. But I knew for a fact I didn't sign these. Hell, I hadn't even picked up a pen since this whole mess started. Susan, being the master of chaos she is, must have thought she'd pull a fast one on me. But come on, did she really think I wouldn't notice? This was too obvious, like a bad plot twist in a soap opera. So what did I do? I stormed outside, papers in hand, looking like a madman waving them around in front of Susan's face. "Susan, what the hell is this? You really thought I wouldn't notice?" My voice was halfway between shock and anger, like I was trying to make sense of the absurdity, while also being totally pissed off. And how did she respond? Oh, you're gonna love this. She didn't even look up. Yeah, she's sitting in her car, scrolling through whatever nonsense she's into these days, probably laughing at memes while I'm over here having a full-blown breakdown. Finally, without even glancing my way, she goes, "Mike, you're not as sharp as you think. I'm just saving you the trouble. The papers are done, signed, sealed. Just let it go." Let it go. Let it go. This woman torched my house like it was a backyard barbecue and forged my damn signature, and she's telling me to just let it go. I swear my brain almost short-circuited from the audacity. Susan was operating on a whole new level of crazy, like she'd rewritten the rules of reality just to mess with me. I stood there, gripping those papers so tight, my knuckles turned white. I was ready to launch into some epic rant, something that'd shake her up, but then it hit me, like a brick to the face. If Susan was willing to go this far, forge my signature, burn down the house, fake some twisted version of reality, what else was she hiding? My mind started racing. What if this whole thing had been planned for months? What if there were more secrets, more traps just waiting to spring on me? Susan wasn't dumb. She was calculating, and that scared me more than the fire. This wasn't just about the divorce anymore. No, this was something bigger, something darker. She had more cards up her sleeve, and I was about to find out just how deep this rabbit hole went. And as I stood there, staring at the back of her head while she kept scrolling like none of this mattered, I realized one thing. Susan wasn't just trying to win this battle. She was playing for total destruction. I stood there, still reeling from the forged signature revelation. But I wasn't done. Nah, I was just getting started. It was like my brain switched into detective mode. I started sifting through the literal wreckage of our life. Charred bits of furniture, blackened photo frames, and metaphorically the flaming dumpster fire that was our marriage. Susan? Oh, she was still in her car, sitting there with that smug look on her face, like she'd just won the World Cup of manipulation. But as I kept digging, through both the debris and the years of emotional baggage, I found something that made my blood turn to ice. An insurance policy. And not just any run-of-the-mill policy. This was the kind of payout that would make a lottery winner jealous. And guess whose name was on it? Susan's. If the house accidentally burned down, she'd be swimming in cash. Jackpot. It all clicked in that moment. This wasn't just about the divorce, or making my life a living hell. Susan wasn't interested in half of everything. She wanted it all. The house, the cash, the whole 9 yards. She was playing the long game, and I was the clueless idiot standing in the middle of her chessboard. I marched over to her, holding the insurance policy like it was the smoking gun. My heart was pounding in my chest, and I could feel the adrenaline surging through me. For the first time, I had something on her. The queen of manipulation was about to lose her crown. "Susan," I said, my voice low but full of anger. "What the hell is this?" She didn't even flinch at first, but then she saw what I was holding. Her face, that smug, superior expression she'd been wearing all night, faltered. For the first time, Susan looked genuinely scared. Her eyes widened, and her voice shook a little. "Mike, you don't understand." "Oh, I understand perfectly," I snapped, stepping closer, waving the insurance policy in front of her face. "You're trying to cash out, Susan. This was never about the divorce, was it? You're not just after half. You're after everything." She swallowed hard, the color draining from her face like she'd just seen a ghost. I'd never seen her like this before, vulnerable, cornered. She opened her mouth to say something, but no words came out. For once, she didn't have a clever comeback. No snarky retort, no manipulative line ready to throw me off balance. I pressed on. "You thought you'd burn down the house, fake my signature, and then walk away with the money, didn't you? A nice little payday wrapped in flames. How convenient." Her lips parted again, but all she could manage was a weak, "Mike, you're getting this all wrong." "No, Susan. I think I finally got it right," I shot back, the sarcasm oozing from my words. "You've been playing me like a fiddle this whole time, but guess what? The music just stopped." She looked down, her hands trembling, as she clutched the steering wheel like it was her last anchor to reality. And in that moment, I realized something. I had her, not just in this fight, but for the first time in our entire twisted relationship, I had the upper hand. That's the moment it hit me. I had her, the fire, the forged signature, the whole insurance scam. It was like watching the final puzzle piece snap into place. Everything Susan had done, all her manipulative games, all her dirty tricks, it was all unraveling right in front of me. And for the first time in this whole twisted mess, I wasn't the one getting played. No way was I signing those papers that night. Instead, I did something way smarter. I called my lawyer. I could see the panic creeping into Susan's eyes when she realized the tables had turned. She tried to pull that innocent act, the one she's perfected over the years, but it wasn't going to work this time. Not with me, and definitely not with the cops. By the time the police got involved, her whole perfect plan came crashing down like the charred remains of our house. Turns out, burning down your own home for an insurance payout isn't as genius as Susan thought. In fact, it's pretty damn illegal. Who knew, right? And let me tell you, watching her try to weasel her way out of it was glorious. She kept trying to spin her story, acting like she was the victim. "Oh, Mike misunderstood," she'd say, batting her lashes like that was going to save her. But the cops weren't buying it. They were way more interested in the forged documents and the crispy remains of my once cozy living room. I got to admit, there was a certain satisfaction watching it all come full circle. I mean, this woman thought she could torch my life, literally and figuratively, and just walk away with a fat check and half my stuff. She thought she could control everything, bend me to her will like some puppet on strings. But nah, not today, Susan. Today the string snapped, and you're the one left dangling. Now, I've got everything I need. What's left of the house? Yeah, it's a wreck, but at least it's my wreck. My dignity? Still intact, maybe even stronger after surviving this. And best of all, her arrest warrant. Oh yeah, Susan's little vacation from reality? It's going to have a nice long stopover in prison. As for Susan, well, let's just say the only thing she's signing now is a plea deal.